Capitals Quizzer in the motherfucking hizzer.
Hello and welcome to episode 77 of Chet and John's Reassuring You Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Rovers. With me as usual is John Denton.
Good afternoon.
As usual, two top 10 lists. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it, John, let's do it.
All right, my number 10 is a game called Shelter. Now, I thought this was a Badger game. I got the tweet came out from someone and it said Shelter is currently free on iOS. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard of Shelter. I'm pretty sure it's something to do with a badger. And I'm pretty sure people have said it's good.
Oh, yeah.
This version of Shelter, there is a game called Shelter, which is something to do with the badger. But this isn't it. This is something to do, well, I put it on and it seemed like it was to do with zombies straight away. This is on the iPhone. And then it said something to do with like deck building, and I've never felt my brain switch off quicker ever in my whole life for anything. As soon as I saw those two words next to each other, building decks, it's like, I don't know what that is. That's something to do with cards. I think that's what you do in Magic the Gathering. And then I jabbed at the screen a few times and I thought, I don't understand what's happening. I need to turn this off. So please don't take this as any sort of review, criticism, opinion. It's nothing. I just thought it was a Badger game and it wasn't.
I have heard noise about this being really good, but I hate those things too.
Yeah, I don't even hate them. I just don't know
Don't
what
understand
they are.
them. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's just too much for me. All right. Well, is it still free?
I don't know. It was when I got it.
Okay.
And apparently the Badger game was really good.
What's the Badger game called then?
Shelter.
Oh, they're both on iOS.
No, I think the Badger game is a PC game, but I just, when you just hear a name and then a vague thing, and it's sort of like in the far reaches of your mind.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll swear it.
Yeah, do. Or, you might like it. I don't know. Other people might. I don't know.
Shelter.
I don't know. It's a badger. I thought it was a badger.
All right, okay. All right, okay. My number 10 is Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64.
Whoa.
I was out drinking with friends in Brighton last week, and apparently this pub we went to, it was called the Spotted Dog. We've been there before. It's called something else now.
I don't know what any of the names are. There any of the pubs that we've gone to?
It was the one we went to that had a makeover, and it had loads of really, really weird... Anyway, whatever.
Fuck knows.
At the front of the bar, they've got an old CRT TV, an N64, two pads, and they permanently run Mario Kart 64. And I was with Zeno, our old friend, and I can't remember whether you remember this. I mean, it was many, many years ago. We all stopped playing Mario Kart 64 because we didn't want to play against him because he discovered that Yoshi was a cheat character.
That was before I knew you.
Oh, it probably was, yeah. So Yoshi's a cheat character. He knows it. It's the worst thing ever. But we saw that and we thought, let's have a look. And we started playing it, and needless to say, the sticks on the controllers were completely exhausted.
Oh, a little crunchy.
Yeah, well, it's because it's plastic on plastic. When the N64 first came out, I was like, that's not going to work because you're going to grind the plastic into itself. Anyway, yeah, the sticks were knackered, but we played it. We did a couple of races. We were quite hammered. It's at the time I said it was the best one. I think everyone said it was the best one amongst us lot, and it still is. You can just tell it is. It's they'd never got it as perfect as they did there, apart from possibly the GBA one first time round. But yeah, Yoshi's a cheat character. He didn't pick Yoshi, he wasn't allowed. But you never found that, no?
I never really played it that much. I had it. I didn't like the track where you drove and there were cars on the road because I just always used to crash into the cars and used to do my head in. So I didn't play it that much.
Yeah,
it's probably the one I played the least actually, apart from the GBA one.
That's a shame because it's blatantly the best one.
All right. So that's cool that that's in a pub.
It was a nice interlude for 5 minutes. It just reminded me how much rage was, Yoshi he's in third place. It's the first lap. The first present comes up lightning every time. No
present.
Exactly. Cheat.
My number 9 is not as interesting as that. It's a game called Capitals Quizzer. I'm good at capitals.
I really like that title.
It is a good title. I'm quite good at capitals. So I said there's a game about capitals. It's exactly what it sounds like. And it's a quiz. It's quite hard. It's free. It asks you what the capitals are of things.
Oh,
and
right,
I knew some of them and I didn't know other ones.
Right.
That's all it is. It's on a phone. I don't know. You could try me out a capital. I'm all right.
What is it? Just pictures?
It'll be No, it said the name of the country, and I'll go, what's the capital of this country?
Right, okay, gotcha.
So Just name a country. I might know the capital. I might not.
Is there pictures? I mean, it sounds like the dullest app in the world. Is it just the word?
I think there's a flag.
Okay, all right.
See, already I can tell you don't like capitals as much as me, so it's going to be lost on you.
I fucking love the title, but when you said capitals, I thought you meant capital letters for some reason. But yeah, I'm not brilliant at knowing capital cities, so I don't think it would.
Well, this you might get better if you get this.
True that.
Learn.
Is it a freebie?
It is a freebie. There were some ads, but I didn't care.
Okay.
So I was just getting my capitals on.
Capitals Quizzer.
The one.
That's a great title. All right. Okay, my number 9. My number 9 is a game called Anunnaki's Errands on the Xbox 360.
Indie game, perchance?
It's an indie game, yeah. It's 69p. It seems so weird. It's no longer 80 Microsoft points. It's 69 pence.
Oh yeah.
I can't stress enough. Well, I shouldn't. Okay, basically, the picture, I downloaded it because of the box art. It was a bikini-clad woman with her backside to the camera, looking over her shoulder. Much beloved by XBig developers everywhere. I've seen it many times. Behind her are more bikini-clad women, and that's basically it. Anunnaki's Errands. I was like, okay, I checked what the screenshot was, and the screenshot made it look like it was a kind of rhythm action dancing game with one giant woman and loads of other women. I was like, okay, all right, I'll have a look. Maybe it turns into that. When you start off, the only thing you can do in the trial is a first-person shooter, and I've played some bad first-person shooters on XBlig. This wipes the floor with all of them. You're walking around a cave and you collect diamonds. As soon as you get 8 or 9, it says pay for the game. But while you're walking around, it's non-stop glitches. These naked women come down from the ceiling, and occasionally they stick to you. Occasionally they vanish instantly. Occasionally they keep popping up and down, up and down. You can't get past them. Sometimes you walk over a line, you back up, get out of the way, kill them, move forward, and they go, and you just kind of, it is one of the worst games I've ever played.
It fucking sounds good.
I'm telling you, it's so bad, but it's just bad in that way that's not funny. And it's just I've said this about Xbox Live indie games before, but nobody has paid for this except maybe the guy who made its mum. And if she did buy it, but if his mum bought it, she does. You just know she stares into the middle distance. She'd never do it, but she occasionally thinks about getting shot of him. I'm telling you, it is terrible. Anunnaki's Errands. Don't even forget I spoke about it. Wipe it from your brain.
It's already gone.
It's crap.
It's already gone. Right. It does sound good, though.
No, it's not. It really isn't.
And they don't dance?
Not yet, but it does. The screenshot looks like it's in-game, so I don't... Maybe it's... But that's what... He lures you in with this minigame about collecting diamonds and then goes, buy the game right now. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not that fucking desperate. They're all dead. I forgot they're all dead as well. They got blood just because. Fuck that game. Hell. Yeah,
they need to look into this guy.
Yeah. He's a mystery.
Anunnaki, yeah, watch out for that guy. My number 8 is a game called, I think it's probably not called this, Spaghetti Space, something to do with spaghetti. Anyway, Martin Holden, the king of concept art, his friend made it for Ludum Dare, Robert Ludlum Dare, you know that thing? That game, I don't even know what it is. I don't know why I speak about it.
Isn't it just like a 48-hour game jam thing?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I don't know why it's called that. I don't even know what that means. I don't know anything. Anyway, this game's quite good. It's very hard. It's an endless runner, but a lot of it involves wall jumping, and you have 2 controls, jump and slide, which is pretty common for this genre, but you have to use them in tandem to jump off the wall. So you can't just jump at the wall and jump again like you do in most games. You have to kind of time it, so you keep the jump button held down and then use the slide on the wall to jump off. And it just makes the game hard, but the controls are quite good, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, right.
It's like quite a satisfying mechanic when you nail it. So it makes what would be a fairly pedestrian endless runner a lot trickier and a lot more enjoyable. You know, the game was made in 48 hours, so obviously it's not brilliant. But it kind of diverted my attention for a good 15, 20 minutes, and I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know what it's called. I think it was something to do with spaghetti.
On PC?
Yeah, it's just in the browser. It's Flash.
Okay. All right. How does it not have a title, or have you just forgotten it?
I think it's called Spaghetti Space.
Okay.
The word spaghetti is definitely in it, because I wouldn't just be saying that for no reason.
Okay. All right. Is it going to progress beyond browsers, or is that
I don't know. Yeah, it's 48 hours, isn't it? I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I could see it turning into a proper game. Definitely.
Right, genuine. All right. Okay, my number 8 is a game I spoke about last week called The Unbreakable Chain on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game, an incredibly weird indie game. I spoke about it last week, and I just thought it was a game about a weird bonbon-bodied snake or worm going around a sandpit.
That's this one.
But the music, it's worth downloading just for the music. It's amazing. But a listener sent me a video of it being played, the demo from beginning to end, and I didn't realise you could actually go up at the top of the sand and then the game continues. So I downloaded it again, the trial, and I played through it. And it's, it looks completely bizarre, but the gameplay, it is, I think, an artist making a game, and I don't think he plays games or massively cares about them. But it is something. It is basically you get out of the top of the sand, this snake, and then you get eaten by a pig, and then all of a sudden you're playing as the pig. It's very much similar gameplay, top down, moving around. You're eating other worms, and then when you're eating other worms, at some point, what looks like a Doberman eats you, and then you're walking along sideways, and you're a jumping Doberman, and there's a mouse, and he's chasing that. But before he gets eaten by a bull, and then you're a bull with a carriage behind it, and he jumps.
What the hell are you talking about?
Honestly, it's just you keep jumping from animal to animal. It's really fucking weird. It's very experimental, and I don't think it's a good game, and I do not recommend it as a game, but it's completely unbound by anything. I mean, there's no logic. The animation's wildly inconsistent. So's the gameplay inconsistent. It's rubbish, but you get at no point do you not think that this is what the guy wanted to make, as fucking weird as it is. But it's one of those games that people who enjoy his artwork will be the best equipped to enjoy, because it's not much of a game really. But I'm only speaking about the trial. I don't know what happens after that. I've only done 4 animals or 5 animals. It's bloody weird. It's not recommended at this point.
So you're not going to buy the full version?
No, I don't think. I mean, it is 69p, which is nothing, and on iOS it's £5. I don't know why that is.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's on PC. I don't know. The Unbreakable Chain. It's interesting, but pretty worthless as a game.
All right. My number 7 is a game called Clocked In. This is a recommendation from Twitter. Not to us, I should say. It was recommended by Tom Francis, the guy that made Gunpoint, and he used to work for PC Gamer and whatnot. And I just noticed that he tweeted about some game, and it's pretty good fun. It's really simple. Basically, the image on screen is a clock. The clock hand goes round, and as it does, it leaves a pattern of circles that changes with every rotation of the clock hand. You play as another circle, a different coloured circle, and using the arrow keys, I think, or maybe WASD, I can't remember which one. You have to rotate around the clock and dodge all the circles that are on the clock face, and try and avoid getting hit by the minute hand that's going around the clock, right? And every time you make it around the clock without getting hit, you got 5 lives, I think. You get a point. So you're just trying to get as many points as you can, and with every rotation, the pattern of the weird circles on the clock face changes completely. So it kind of turns into a maze, basically, and you just have to be really good at directing your little circle. It's got a bit of momentum to it, and it's just a fun game. It's just a good little game. It's kind of stylish in its own way. It's a weird idea. I don't know why that was an idea that came to his head. Maybe he was just staring at a clock sometime, this guy. But it's cool. I don't know if this was another Luden Dare thing or if it's just something someone made. I can't remember. But it's actually pretty good.
What format was it on?
Again, just browser.
It sounded like that's the kind of thing that sounded like it could get really frustrating. How long did you play it for? Probably...
I played it in a few different sessions, probably sort of 10 minutes a session, maybe 3 times.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Something about it just sounded like that would wind me up. I might have a look at it, though. What was it called?
Wind you up, nice. Clocked In.
Clocked In, that was it.
Yeah, just Google that. I'm sure you'll find it. It's I wouldn't say it was frustrating. It was quite difficult, and you can kind of get stuck eventually, and you start getting hit by the hand. But it's fine. It didn't annoy me.
All right, okay. Clocked In, all right. Okay, my number 7 is actually 2 games, neither of which I have a whole lot to say about. They're the final 2 games in the Xbox Live Summer of Arcade. So it's Flashback Remake and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, or OOTS as they call it. First of all, Flashback. I never really understood Flashback. I remember playing it back in the day and it just left me ice cold. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on it then, and I was always very fond of Another World, and Flashback always just kind of. I remember that I went to play it multiple times, and I remember.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same as you.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't quite put my. Anyway, I downloaded the remake to have a look, and immediately, as soon as I saw the first screen, I was like, I can't be bothered. I'm not interested. Something about it is so uninteresting. The controls, I think the controls weren't brilliant back in the day, but the controls in the remake are really unresponsive. And I've been reading loads of people talking about bugs. I mean, terrible bugs that are in it. Apparently, I didn't play it long enough to verify that. They've inserted all these cutscenes, and it's this guy who talks in wisecracks, and it's one of those characters that feels like it was written by people who have absolutely no sense of humour. So everything he says is like light and wee, and I'm just like, no, thank you very much. I played it for about 10 minutes. I didn't get to the end of the trial. I couldn't be bothered. The scenery is really difficult. It's really difficult to sort of determine where the sort of barriers are. But then again, I found that back on the original. I always used to walk around going like, where the fuck am I going? This is a wall. That isn't a wall. I can walk past that, but I can't walk past that. Anyway, I didn't enjoy it. Back in the day, I didn't enjoy it now. Turtles Oots Out of the Shadows is absolutely diabolical. Based on the trial, first of all, the trial's terrible. It's Turtles. Did you play the full price £40 PS3 Xbox Turtles game that came out when the movie came out?
Was that the one that was like Prince of Persia?
I suppose you could say that. Yeah, it's third person, 3D.
Yeah,
roaming.
I didn't play it, but I saw it being played. Okay.
Yeah, I think I can't remember whether I liked it or not. I remember that it worked and it was fine. This looks like that. It's the same combat. X is attack, Y is like a kick, but it's a guard break. There's a super meter, and you can do special moves, and you level up by placing things in an upgrade tree. And it's so fucking dull. It's not even true. I mean, I may be reviewing it, in which case I'll talk more about it next week. I hope that isn't the case, but it's. Technically the demo's terrible because you're having combat and then it will jump to a cel-shaded cutscene like comic book panels, and then it will throw you into another bit of level, and then the game just stops and starts, and it's technically pretty much fucked. It looks pretty ugly. Actually, the turtles look really amphibian. I don't know whether they've changed the design of turtles since I last saw them, but they look really eerie to look at. They don't look like cartoon characters. They look like they're supposed to look like actual turtles, which is quite weird, quite off-putting. Maybe the movies and the new comics or whatever, wherever they are, look like that as well. But the game is... I'm only basing it on the trial, but Jesus Christ, so dull. So dull.
Yeah, I've got no interest. It seems like a really weak Summer of Arcade.
Yeah, it is.
This year. I mean, you played more Charlie Murder than me, and that was cool, and Brothers is fantastic, but those two finishing it off, that's...
Rubbish. Yeah, really quite weak.
What's going on?
Shame.
Yeah. But then again, you know, new consoles coming out, I guess they're focusing on that or whatever, I don't know. I don't know. My number 6 is... I've talked about this too much. I feel bad talking about it again, but fuck it. It's New Super Mario Brothers U on Wii U. And now I put the Wii U on because I wanted to download the Wonderful 101, and it took 7 hours to download.
God.
And it disconnected my entire Wii U from the internet completely to the point where I had to go in and set up a new connection, and then that didn't work because it didn't work when I first set it up. Basically, it was a fucking nightmare. I could have walked all the way into town when I live 4 miles away from town, bought the game and walked back in the time that it took to do it. Yeah. Anyway, while I had the Wii U on, my little boy noticed that Mario was on the corner of the screen, and he was like, Mario! So I was like, oh yeah, stick it on. And I forgot, I always say this, but I forgot, it fucking looks nice. I mean, It really does. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And I played a few levels, and it is actually quite a lot better than Luigi U, which I played. That's the version I played most recently. That game's kind of odd. It's too fast. Like, the levels are too fast, and it's just a kind of weird DLC going through the same map, but the levels are different. It's just, I don't know, something about it felt like a total conversion mod or something. It didn't feel like its own bespoke thing. I think I'd have rather have just had a new map and way less levels.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But yeah, the levels, they really are good. Late on, I still haven't finished it. I'm sort of maybe the last world or the second to last world. very good game. I do very much intend to finish that. In fact, I'm on a kind of Wii U mission. I want to finish that. I need to finish Zombie U, which I haven't played for fucking forever. And I do need to finish Pikmin, which I'm right at the end of that as well. And I will kind of want to get all those 3 done, at least to the point on Mario where I beat Bowser. And then I'll start Wonderful 101. Because I'm kind of intimidated by that game as well. Everyone says how hard it is. So
have you? Oh, I haven't heard that, really?
Yeah, I've heard it's like properly hard, even on normal, and people are putting it down to very easy and still getting smashed up by it. Wow. So,
shit. Okay, well, I mean, it is a platinum game. I mean, are people who are saying that the kind of people who've played the likes of Vanquish and whatnot?
Yeah,
I suppose Vanquish wasn't even really that difficult.
Vanquish wasn't very hard. I didn't think. No.
Weird. Okay, Bayonetta was tough though.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that. Wow, fuck. Okay, well, I haven't played it either, but.
Yeah, I have it. I meant to play it for this week, to be honest, but I didn't get a chance in the end.
All right. Well, good luck with trying to complete those games. I guarantee you won't do any of it, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I won't.
Okay, all right. Well, my number 6 is Tetris Blitz on iOS, an EA remake. Well, it's not a remake, it's a redux of Tetris. It's a really strangely offensive clusterfuck of stupid ideas. I'd heard bad things about it. I downloaded it a little while ago. It's free, and I'd heard bad things, but I wasn't quite prepared for how angry it made me. It really did make me fucking pissed off. It's one EA have this really weird. They remake things and they port things and they change things. Like they did Bejeweled Blitz, which I spoke about several months ago.
Yeah.
And what they do is they take it and they put neon all over it to make it sort of cool, and they give it a breakbeat. They remix the theme song so it's all breakbeat, and it's just like it's such a fucking corporate idea of what kids want. I don't know how you destroy something as perfect and simple as Tetris, but they've done it. I'd say in one fell swoop, but they haven't. They've done it in several, because it's, first of all, it's time attack exclusively. You can only play it in 2-minute increments because they're trying to sort of bleed money out of you. But it's one of the most confusing games I've ever played in my life. Over the first 5-10 minutes of playing it, all that comes up is windows, and you have to get your head around the fact that there's modifiers, there's streak bonuses, there's multipliers, there's finishes, there's time-limited power-ups where you have them for a short amount of time, but buy them if you want to keep them, buy them, and then it forces you into phony competitions with fake people called things like Bucky Wallace, and he comes up going, "Hey,
Wallace."
Yeah, here's a little picture comes up, and he's like, "Hey, I'll get you a high score," and then every time,
fuck that guy.
every 5 seconds, it comes up. Do you want to share your score to your actual friends on Facebook? No, thanks.
Fuck Bucky Wallace.
And the whole time you're winning coins, and then you use these coins to play on this game of luck that's like something from a fruit machine, and it's just you're supposed to buy bundles of coins and then you buy modifiers, but you can't play Tetris as it's supposed to be. The most fucking irritating thing about it is that I will pay for normal Tetris. I'll pay. The last time I paid for normal Tetris, or was able to, was fucking on the Game Boy, I think. When was the last time Just Tetris came out? I bought an N64 one with Disney characters, which was just like, a mate of mine called it Chernobyl Tetris, because it was all these brand new shapes that were like giant. But Just Tetris, I'm just the fact that it's not. I mean, it's probably here as an unlockable if you spend $3,000 on in-app purchases. Yeah. It's so confusing. The actual way the game plays is quite nice, because what it does is it picks the different options are in outline at the bottom of the screen. You just tap where you want it to go. Tap, tap, tap. So actually playing it as Tetris is not. There's all these other systems where you build. There's so many systems in it. And trying to get your head around it is next to impossible, but it doesn't feel like Tetris, and it made me really fucking angry, because Tetris is like chess. It feels like it's, the fact that it belongs to someone, or especially EA, it kind of just feels fucking weird. It's like, I don't know, I always think of Tetris as like a kindly, really cool old lady, wise, a friend of the family, like an old woman.
Yeah.
Because it's been around. Tetris has been around for almost as long as I have, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like I've got a relationship with it as a thing, like chess. You don't think of that as being owned by someone and being fucked around.
Chess Blitz.
Yeah, it's like a kindly old lady, friend of the family, and to watch EA stick her in sequin hot pants and send her out to the street and earn them some more money. I put it down and I was like, "Fuck off! You completely pissed on a classic that It really is fucking rubbish. They've destroyed. It bears almost no relation to Tetris. Fucking hell, I hated it. I rated it.
Fucking Bucky Wallace.
Yeah, don't you? Yeah, those fake guys. Hey, hi guys, you beat my good. Share your scores to Facebook. Enter your Facebook details and your credit card details while you're at it. Piss off, Tetris Blitz. Honestly, don't bother. Stay away.
I'm not going to. Well, I don't know how to follow that. My number 5 is Spelunky on the Vita. I've been waiting for this to come out. I don't have a lot to say about it, really. It's had a nice little PS Plus discount as well. So it was like $9.50. Looks great, plays great. Apparently, at a later stage, it has some frame rate issues in like the ice stage or something. I've never got that far. I'm way too bad at the game. I doubt I'll ever have to worry about it. I don't know if it's a thing that was just with this guy or whether that's a prevalent issue. But yeah, I'm way too bad at Spelunky to even have to worry about that. I think I had no frame rate issues or anything when I was playing it. Just a brilliant game.
How many times have you paid for it?
Twice.
Fuck.
Once on Xbox and here. But I'll talk about this later as well, but I don't mind paying when I know it feels like you're kind of supporting someone as well. I mean, the guy's made it's probably minted now, but it's not like you're just chucking 10 quid at EA for Plants vs Zombies 2 fucking coins or some shit. You know, I don't mind so much. And the game's I did really want it on Vita because I want to play more of it, but it's not when you stick on the Xbox and say you look. Not that I ever fucking play Battlefield anymore or anything like that, but that feels like something that you should be playing something a bit bigger than Spelunky on. Really, when you stick, especially when you got rare amounts of time like I do. But on Vita, that's a perfect fit. And the Vita's turned into this machine that I never thought when I bought it. It was this kind of luxurious item with amazing graphics and the kind of thing you wanted to show off to people. And now it's just turned into this space for the indie games that I was already playing on PC at the moment. And it'll be where I get them first instead of the PC now, as more and more come, as the PS4 comes out, because it's just perfect for them. Yeah. Absolutely perfect. And I would never have thought this machine would turn into that, but that's what it is. I mean, Hotline Miami was the fucking shit on Vita, and so's this.
Yeah, I have to say, all of this indie stuff is making the Vita much more appealing. I was just about to ask, do you reckon there's any chance of it coming to 3DS? But I think maybe I might have to bite the bullet, because I keep hearing stuff about the Vita that just makes me think, fuck, that's cool. I think I need one.
Also, I don't know if you are getting a PS4 anymore, but that remote play stuff looks pretty damn good at Gamescom.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you getting a PS4?
Yeah, it's pre-ordered.
Fuck. I've pre-ordered an Xbox, but...
Have you?
It's just because everyone I know is going with it.
Everyone was PS4 when I pre-ordered it.
Yeah, I know. That's I know. I don't know. It's just because...
I'll end up with both, but...
I can't get both at launch, though. I'm not a fucking millionaire.
I can't. I said to myself, I'll get the Xbox when Titanfall comes out next year.
Yeah.
So that was the first exclusive game that I've got any interest in playing. I don't care about Rise or Forza, so... Yeah, I'll wait for that shit.
To be honest, that might. I mean, if depending on how it does, that might be that will be the time where they might drop the price a little as well, or they start doing really, really good bundles with Titanfall.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, hopefully.
People are raving about that shit. I didn't get a chance to play it at Gamescom, unfortunately, because the queues were too long. But that was what all the YouTube kids, all the fucking press have been talking about that game. I want to play it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, all right. Well, my number 5 is a game called Hydro Venture, aka Fluidity, on the Nintendo Wii. This was recommended by a listener, and it's really good. It's on WiiWare. I don't know what the deal is with WiiWare at the moment. Can you play WiiWare games that you've downloaded on the Wii on your Wii U? I
don't know.
Fuck. I should really check that, because I've got the little chip that I had in my Wii U, and I'm pretty sure I can access them. But it's on
little chip.
Yeah, like the SD card.
Oh.
That was in my Wii is now in my Wii U.
You sound like an old man.
Sorry about that. Anyway, it's called Fluidity in the States. It's called Hydro Venture over here, and it's a physics puzzler kind of platformer sort of thing where you're sort of transporting water around. It's really, really bloody good. I played it for about 4 or 5 hours, and I think I made a really, really significant dent in it. You're playing the whole thing in the pages of this little picture book, and it's in this world called Aquaticus, and you're fighting off this black stuff called the Influence. I mean, it's a daft story, but it's not, who cares? You're controlling this water, and you control it with the Wii remote by tilting the world left and right, and then if you want to jump, you can flip it up, and you'll sort of send this water. The physics are incredible. You have to avoid losing water, and once you've lost all your water, you die. But you lose it if it breaks off into little bits. So you have to constantly pool it. So every time you have to stop and make sure that you don't lose any, because little stray drops will also evaporate as well as getting lost. But you're jumping around with this water. The physics really are quite impressive, and you do things like you find cogs, and then you sort of you carry them around, slot them into mechanisms. One of the first things you do is you find a fish, and then you have to transport him back to his fish bowl, and then leave some water in it. It's really, really cool. I mean, it's good for a couple of hours, and I was like, this is really fun. All you're doing is finding rainbow drops, and they unlock new parts of the level. It's standard stuff. It's almost like Metroid, the way you sort of get new things and then open different parts of the map. But when it really wowed me is that the elements change later on. You can be ice and steam. So the steam, you turn into this like cloud, and you can fire lightning bolts to solve puzzles, and then the ice blocks can break into new areas or smash stuff, or use you can weigh down switches and stuff. It's really fucking clever. It's so good, in fact, that I think it could have been the kind of sort of breakout success. Basically the Wiimote. Every time I pick up the Wiimote and it's been well implemented, I still think it feels amazing. I mean, when you compare it to something like Kinect, which felt like shit the first time you used it, the Wiimote still makes me think, fuck, because tilting it could be a joystick or a button. It's that accurate, and it feels so good. I think the Wiimote is still amazing. Even without Wii Motion Plus, I think it's an incredible device. What's unfortunate is that I think genuinely this could have been a breakout success, but it came out in very late 2010, by which point almost everyone I know, in fact everyone I do know apart from myself, had ditched the Wii.
Right.
I mean, you ditched it when, like, fucking a week after it came out?
Yeah, I mean, I had it. I still have it, but yeah, I barely played it. I just played the Mario Galaxy games, really.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it was for a lot of people. People just wanted to hate that machine, and they were so angered by there was a lot of shovelware on that console, but it had some amazing games that nobody ever played. This is one of them. The problem with that is, I reckon it could have been a huge success on other platforms, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
Yeah.
Without the control of the Wii remote, so it can't win really. It's like, I think there's a sequel on 3DS that's downloaded on the eShop called Hydro Venture Spinner or something. I don't know. Hydro. If you look for Hydro Venture in Europe or Fluidity in America, you'll find it. I can't vouch for that one because I haven't played it, but the WiiWare one is really bloody good. I'll probably finish it before next week and speak about it again. But just I mean, it's shades of Loco Roco, shades of a couple of the games you've played, but very much its own thing. And the physics again are just. They make the game so rewarding because you can't fucking get around them, and you can't succeed without bending to their will, so to speak. But honestly, really bloody impressive. It's genuinely good.
That does sound cool. That does sound like a cool game. Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to have time to play that, but Fluidity is a better name than Hydro Venture.
I don't know why they changed it, bearing in mind it came out in the States first, and that's
Was
the
there
title.
something else called Fluidity, maybe? I don't know.
Oh, that's possible, yeah. But honestly, if you're one of those people who still plays games on their Wii, it's fucking good.
Hydro Venture. Sweet. Right, my number 4 is a game called, well, I don't know why I said it like that, is Score World Goals, which is either the sequel or the same game as Score Classic Goals. I couldn't work out if it was the same or not. I don't know why I downloaded this again. Do you remember me talking about this ages ago?
I played it after you recommended it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. It just popped into my mind for some reason, and I thought I'll re-download what I have. But then when I typed it into the App Store, Score Classic Goals, it just came up with Score World Goals, and that was free. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just get that then. And I don't think I gave it enough credit at the time, even though I said it was really good. It's just a marvellous game. It's absolutely brilliant. It's so much fun to play. If you can't remember me talking about it before, if you haven't heard of it, basically you are recreating classic goals from different eras of football. And if you're a bit of a football nerd like me, as so many people are, you'll remember a lot of them. They're famous goals like Iniesta's winner in the World Cup and Beckham's free kick against Greece, stuff like that you remember. It doesn't have any licensed players or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. It's a 3D match engine that looks really nice, like for a phone. It really doesn't look that far behind Pro Evo and FIFA. But how you play it is it plays the goal out for you, and then simple stuff. You have say you need to pass it to another guy, you'll have a line on screen, and you just draw between the two guys, and it'll pass the ball, and then the game will freeze again. Say the goal you're trying to play out is pass to one guy, pass to another guy, and then the third guy puts it in the top corner. So you do one pass, game freezes, do another pass, maybe you need to lead it in front of the guy with the second pass, so you draw the line so it's slightly in front. The third guy will run onto it, and then you can hit it with curve and draw the line with curve and do exactly what you want to do. And when it all clicks, you get little okay, good, or excellent, depending on how well you do each component part. And when it all clicks, and if you hit excellent every time, it's fucking satisfying. And so, obviously, they're amazing goals as well that you're scoring, just like ridiculous free kicks, volleys from absurd angles. So that's really satisfying too. And if you're like me and you remember most of these goals, it's just really fun to do. There's actually a multiplayer mode now, which I'm pretty sure wasn't in there before, but it's an asynchronous multiplayer mode where you basically get scored for how well you managed to recreate the goal. So yeah, you go back and forth like that. That was fun, and yeah, just going back through the all the goals was great, and it's free. So there was loads of ads popped up, but you can X them off. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't asking me for money. There is ways of spending money in the game, but I didn't need to spend or even got close to needing to spend any money. And yeah, if you never played it and you like football, you really should. You really, really should. It's a fucking tremendous game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I did play it back in the day, and I thought it was great back in the day. Well, however many months.
Yeah, it was about a year ago.
Yeah. So has that replaced the other?
I don't know. I just typed in classic goals, that came up, and my memory is not great these days, so I couldn't remember if it was the same or not.
All right. Well, I might have a look because I didn't play much of it. I'm pretty sure maybe they've just taken, because some of the ones in the original were like club football goals.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe this is now all internationals. Maybe it is a sequel. Regardless, it's great.
It is great. I might have a look at that again. Okay, my number 4 is Rock Band Blitz on the Xbox 360. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I played it a hell of a lot. But anyway, I'll be brief. I play a lot of Rock Band Blitz again. I've got right back into it, but earlier today, Rock Central went down. It's not the Rock Band network. Rock Central is basically the database that keeps all the scores and sort of logs what DLC you've got. Other Rock Band games have it, but Rock Band Blitz cannot function without it, which meant that I couldn't play it today. So I tried to play it, and it said, you can play, but we can't save your score, and you can't use any of the score modifier. You basically, the game as it is, you can't play. You have to play it without any of the bells and whistles that are actually part of the game, part of the gameplay.
Really? So you can't use
none of
the modifiers?
You can't do anything. No,
that's weird.
Exactly, and it made me worry because when they shut it down, which then inevitably EA published it, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there are not many people playing Rock Band Blitz, but when they shut it down, I just hope they patch it so that people can still play the game offline, because that's ridiculous. I mean, the other Rock Band games you can play offline, but this you literally can't play the game as it was intended.
Yeah.
Without this Rock Central being on.
That's mad, and it won't save your scores to not that you'd want to even do scores without the modifiers, but you can't save them locally.
No. Nothing. That's what I mean. That's why I'm hoping when they take it offline, which they inevitably will do at some point, hopefully not soon, but they will. I just hope that they somehow patch in the ability for people, so that that's no longer a requirement. Yeah. And incidentally, the Rock Band store still prices things in Microsoft points. So it was a fucking bitter pill, because I just bought a few track packs, and I bought a Miley Cyrus track pack, just because it's one of the last things that I haven't. But I've bought almost everything else, and it was loads of songs for a discounted price. So I was like, yeah, buy, $400. But yeah, fuck, £3. I saw it go by, like, oh god. When it's real money, it's a real kick. It was a real shot in the balls. But yeah, Rock Band Blitz is amazing. Incidentally, if you like watching videos, let's play videos without commentary of games that nobody liked when they came out, I'm going to put some Rock Band Blitz playthroughs on our YouTube channel.
You are legitimately one of the best players in the world at Rock Band Blitz, though.
Yeah, but I'm all right. Yeah, some of the ones
you're in the top probably 30 players in the whole world, I'd say.
I don't know. I mean, there's no way to assess that. But yeah, I'm going to put up the ones.
Apart from the leaderboards.
Yeah, I'm going to put up a few ones that I've got, which were both three. I've put 3 up today, which is both of which are. 2 of which I was originally number 1 in the world at, and now I'm only number 6, but it'll do. But if you don't like the game, no one likes the game. Who's going to want to watch it? Nobody. But what the hell?
Well, it's a shame you didn't put them up when the game came out.
I know. I should have done a fucking tutorial because I know people that didn't fucking go back to it because they found it too confusing when it's not really at all.
But we only come up with good ideas 8 months
You ain't wrong.
after the fact.
You're not wrong.
I played some of that game this week as well. It's brilliant. Mm-hmm. I hope that it's not broken now forever. That would be a crushing disappointment.
No, actually, I tweeted them and they said, yeah, we're fixing it. And I tried it about an hour ago and it's working fine. So I did a couple of tunes. It's all good.
Oh, nice. All right, talking of stuff that's sort of been online and a bit broken, I managed to get hold of that leaked Pro Evo 2014 demo, which you'll know about if you've been on the YouTube. So I did a video for it up on there. But it's gone down. It was only up for a couple of hours. A buddy of mine, Steve Burns, mentioned it was on there. And I was lucky enough to be sat next to the PS3, so I downloaded it. I was really excited about this game. Obviously, I've talked many times about Pro Evo 2013. I thought that was the best Pro Evo there's ever been, a real return to form, better than FIFA 13. This, though, all I can say is, what the hell's gone wrong? Now, I'll preface this. Is that it?
That sounds right. That'll do, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right. I'll preface this with... Nope, no, I've forgotten how to speak. It's a demo, so who knows what build it is, and it's a leaked demo, right? Yeah. So who knows if this was even supposed to have appeared online? Who knows if this is the demo that's coming out next week or not? Who knows lots of things? It's Konami. But at the moment, it's kind of like playing Pro Evo in a swamp or like playing FIFA with lag, and you know how fucking annoying that is when all the buttons, because when FIFA is laggy, it's not like screen lag like in a shooter. It's button lag, which is a nightmare for a game that involves lots of intricate button presses and timing. And it just felt like that. Players who would normally be fast and snappy, and you can beat a man with like Ribery, Bayern Munich in the game, so you've got players like Frank Ribery, just useless basically. You can't do anything. Even stuff like on the video that I put online, I did score a goal, but it was a goal that came from a cross. But I say in the video that I played the ball out wide, and the guy that was running onto it, I pressed circle really early, so he crossed the ball first time. Standard stuff's been in football games forever. But press circle, he took a touch and then crossed. Like, it was like a second between me pressing it and him eventually crossing it. That's what happens when you play online with lag. But this was happening in an offline game on PES 2014. Now, as I said, it is a demo. I'm hoping... Football games notoriously change massively between preview stage, demo stage. Even I've had review code and final boxed game be almost completely different in both FIFA and Pro Evo. So I still hold out hope that they're going to sort it out. But at the moment, I'm concerned, man. I'm definitely concerned because they've moved to a new engine. I was worried this might happen. They finally sorted out Pro Evo 2013. It took them years. And then they decided to move the whole game to the Fox engine. It certainly the animation when it works looks great. Like, it looks better than any football game has ever looked. I'm not counting the new next gen FIFA in that because I haven't really seen that. But from what we've seen so far on current gen stuff, there's loads of really smooth animation. The ball physics are really good, and certainly when the computer's got the ball, it still seems to have that Pro Evo magic. Like, I've had goals scored against me, which are really cool, but I just couldn't get anything going myself. You can't change the difficulty on the demo. You can't seem to make substitutions either. So it's just a shit demo, but that's the reason probably why it was yanked back down. But at the moment, if this is what the game is like, I'm worried, but I still hold out hope that it won't end up like this, because I just can't see them. Pro Evo's always been responsive. That's always been something that it's had going for it ever since ISS Pro back on the PS1. You've always been able to beat a man. You've always been able to change direction quickly. That's the difference between that and FIFA, really, apart from there's a bunch of other stuff that are different, but that's the main difference on a moment-to-moment control basis. And if that's lost from Pro Evo, I don't want to play Pro Evo trying to be bad FIFA.
Yeah. Is it really feasible that they could have had why would Sony have an outdated build? Surely
fuck knows.
They might have given it to them saying this is going up next week.
It may be the demo that's supposed to go up, and it's just still an old build, and they've put up shit demos in the past.
They really have, yeah.
Yeah, because they normally do 2 demos, but I think the game is out. It's out the same week as GTA. I mean, Jesus, what's this company do? They're nuts. They want to get ahead of FIFA. I get that. So yeah, they're releasing September 20th, and GTA is obviously out on the 17th. Can't see many people buying that.
Isn't FIFA out on that?
FIFA's out the week after, I think.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's two different markets. Well, it's not. There is a lot of overlap, but I mean, I think people who want, people who want football games want football games. They're not going to get GTA instead. But that's really worrying. But as you said, one of the demos they put out last year was really shit. And I remember I'd played it at Konami and thought, wow, it's really great. And then seeing this demo, I was like, what have they done? They fucked it. And then they hadn't, but it was just a fucking shit demo. Yeah, Konami, they work in mysterious ways, no doubt.
That they do.
Yeah.
That they do. So yeah, I still hold out hope, but it'll be interesting to see when the demo does go live, if it is the same one that I've been playing, which apparently is the same build that was sent out as a preview build to magazines and websites. So, and certainly the videogamer.com write-up by Steve was basically the exact same experience that I had, which went up a couple of weeks ago. So we shall see. We shall see.
The Eurogamer one was like, this game's so good, I'm going back from FIFA, wasn't it?
That was based on a visit, though, I think, yeah, Steve had also played it at Konami and said it was really good. It's just, there's almost no point previewing a football game because they have so little time to make it, and all it is tweak until the game comes out, because there's always a day one patch.
And then there's always stuff that people are upset about that they end up changing. So yeah. All right. Well, I hope so as well, because I like the last one. Okay. My number 3 is The Bureau, XCOM Declassified on the Xbox 360. I finished it.
Oh, yeah.
I disagree with a hell of a lot of what you said.
No way.
I think it's really, really good. And I really think it's something that XCOM fans will really, really appreciate.
Even when you're just plodding through fucking grey corridors for hours.
See, the first time I descended into one of those grey-blue gunmetal sort of industrial caverns, the sort of vaguely Halo-ish... I was like, oh god, here we go. But there was only a couple of levels like that, and there was so much. You said there wasn't a lot of variation in the levels, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't think there was.
I thought it was. In fact, I thought that was a major selling point of it. The way they kept the variety going, and when you were in those alien environments, the first one is normal. And I was like, okay, this is fine. The combat never stopped. The combat throughout from beginning to end was a constant source of excitement. I think the combat was absolutely superb, and it never got boring. Moving those people around, like I said, I love the fact that if you want to just go Rambo and stop directing people and run in and shoot people, you can. But it is a strategy game at heart. But no, when you're walking into those alien landscapes, the first one's normal, and then afterwards there's that one where you're under the lake and everything glistens because it's under the water, and you encounter that Stargate that looks properly. I sat back and I was like, wow. That looks amazing. And then there's all the stuff from the Americana when you're out on the roadside and there's diners everywhere and stuff, and then you're in the towns. I thought constantly it changed and changed and changed, and it felt like they'd made a real effort to make sure that it didn't get monotonous. The final bit of the campaign was a little bit much. There were a few too many. I didn't think it was that bad. I think they threw too many enemies at you, but
story. I thought you were talking about a story.
The story. The story. I thought it went to interesting places at the very end when you have to make a couple of decisions.
Yeah,
but
disappearing up its own backside. Being one of them.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I know when it's uncovered about halfway through what the diabolical plan is. I was like, what? You're doing this? You're doing this thing that I think if you had to put any science fiction game in front of someone and say, have a guess at what the aliens are doing, that would be the first guess. I was like, oh, come off it. And yeah, I suppose it is a little bit pretentious where it went in the end, but it was 7 hours long. I enjoyed, maybe 8 hours long. I enjoyed every fucking second of it. It reminded me of two things. It reminded me of Dark Void, bizarrely enough, because of those brass backpacks they had with the blue lights and that arm gadget.
Yeah, it did actually remind me of that. Yeah,
just visually. I mean, it did eventually rely on a sort of repetitive combat a little bit, which Dark Void did. That was a guilty pleasure. This isn't. This is a legitimately good game, I think. And the other thing it reminded me of is Freedom Fighters.
Oh yeah,
because they're both squad based, they're both sort of tactical, and you are both you in both of them. You're directing your squad around. But Freedom Fighters was a game that, if you played it at the time, almost, I remember it feeling like I was part of a strange group of people, because you'd say freedom fighters and someone would be like, fuck, freedom fighters, man. It was, to some people who didn't play it much or just looked at it, it's like, oh, well, I know what that is, it's rubbish. But did you play it?
Oh, I finished it, loved it.
Yeah, freedom fighters was a hell of a game.
It was the shit. That was when IO was still good.
Yeah. So yeah, it made me think of that, and I think that comparison is warranted. The other thing, the AI, possibly some of the best AI I've ever seen in a game. The AI of your guys was absolutely superb, breathtaking at points. Every single time I wanted them to do, you give them commands, you say, do this, use that power on him, do that, and then you get busy doing your own combat, and then you remember the amount of times I went to go and give them their next command and they were already doing it. And then there are occasions when you can work, get too far forward, aliens come and you're kind of swamped, so you have to back out. The amount of times I turned around, started sprinting, and I was going to mid-sprint direct them, but I didn't need to, because they'd run by my side and sprint back, and I was like, this is brilliant. I feel like I'm playing with fucking other people. And
fuck it, I didn't have that. I just thought they were idiots.
No, I was so blown away. There were times when I thought this would be so good on co-op, completely not realising that the whole reason it's good is because it's not co-op, because you're directing everything they do. But when it felt like they were using initiative in combat, and I was like, that's so fucking brilliant. I didn't think, fuck, we've got to get out of here, and not have them join me. I didn't have them running off into stupid places, dying in the middle of nowhere, and having to revive them. I never got into situations like that.
I did multiple times.
What difficulty were you doing it on?
Norms?
Yeah, I did it on normal as well. I think most of the stuff on the sidelines is rubbish. It actually owes more of a debt to Mass Effect 2 than I realised, because you want, that sort of XCOM base is basically your shit, because you can go around interrogating people and open those dispatch missions and stuff. But it's taken the appeal of XCOM and the appeal of something like Mass Effect, smushed them together, and I think it really fucking worked. I was thoroughly satisfied when I finished it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wish I'd been able to enjoy it as much as you, quite frankly. Maybe the fact that, when you're having to review something, especially on a short deadline, which I had on this game, I did have to just smash through the whole game. I've been basically in 2 sittings, and the second sitting was a very long sitting, so that kind of helped.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll give myself that. But do you know what? I mean, I still stand by a lot of what I said. I did think that it started interesting and then just descended into just standard sci-fi bollocks. And for me, it could have just been anywhere, any sci-fi game anywhere. I just think it completely lost its hold of its own setting by the halfway point. And then by the time stuff happens towards the end, I don't want to spoil it in case people want to play it, but I was like, fucking, what are you talking about, game?
It does go a little bit wacky, but I kind of went with it and I did like it. I mean, if I only disliked 2 things about it, it was that the sort of the nerviness of XCOM, where you had to be really careful, otherwise the person would die. That this can still happen, but like you said, you can reload a checkpoint, and if you're in the middle of battle, as soon as that wave of enemies or that area is clear, someone will come on a radio and go, don't worry, I'll send you another guy straight away. And then out of the middle of mid-air, some guy will just come up, one of your other squad, and you're like, well, what was the point then? There's no I've got a like-for-like replacement. It's pointless. The other thing I didn't like is that that guy, the main actor's voice.
Oh God.
It was like a spoof. That little sort of exhalation he did after every sentence.
Yeah.
We're gonna go over there. I'm gonna kill you. But I was just like, oh God, I can't hear that guy speak. Really, honestly, if you had to sort of play a spoof version of a kind of grizzled action hero, he was doing it. But I think the game was fucking great, really enjoyable. I've seen a couple of people have given it 8 out of 10s. I'm with that all the way. 8s.
Yeah, well, it's cool that it's divisive. Have you seen that brilliant article on Polygon about the making of it and all the things that went wrong?
No, I didn't. I didn't know that.
It's a really good feature on Polygon. I can't remember who wrote it. I'm going to say Chris LaPlante, but I might not be right. Just Google it or check on Polygon. Really, really good feature. Like, when they do their really good features that they've obviously had a lot of time dedicated to them. Yeah, really good long form feature. Check it out.
All right, yeah, genuine.
I found it more interesting than the game. Right, my number 2 is a very interesting game. In fact, it is Gone Home on PC. Oh, yeah. Now, I said I'd finish it, and I did. It turns out last week I'd actually played less than I thought. I don't know why I thought I played as much as I had. I'd played fuck all. And But I'll go into a bit more detail about what the game is, just in case you don't know. You probably do, because a lot of people have been talking about it. Anyway, it's story-driven exploration game. You play as Caitlin, who's come back from travelling. She's like maybe 18, 19, to a family home, but it's a new family home because her family has moved in the time that she's been away into a new home. Hence, you don't know where anything is. This is revealed very early on in the game. No one's there when she gets in, and you have to uncover the mystery of what's gone on by moving about the house, finding clues, solving very simple puzzles, and just generally unpiecing a mystery. Now, I don't want to spoil it at all. It would be very easy to even start talking about story details that happen quite early in the game and start unraveling it for you. It's better just to experience on your own. But I will say it's a very touching, beautifully constructed story that wouldn't really work in any other medium. Now, saying that, it is a story that's been, and I don't want to spoil what the story is, so this might come across as a little trite by me, but it's a story that's been told in other mediums, but the interactivity here is what makes it work, right? Because just simply the act of finding things yourself, even though the designers have put everything in the game in a certain way to be found, the fact that you're actually going through the house and finding it, and it feels like a real home, right? The amount of detail is incredible. Obviously, it's set in the mid-90s as well, and it's really nostalgic, especially for people like you and I who were teenagers in the 90s. It's aimed at people of our age. And it really does nail it. Just some of it's a little bit hokey, like you find like a type of pen that you might remember having when we were at school or whatever. But some of it's really good, and you find tapes and you can put them in the tape machine, and it's all that like Riot Girl music. But some of it's fucking good, and everything like that is brilliant about the game. And it's just it's beautifully written. I mean, it really is extremely well written and very well acted in parts. Some of it has a voiceover. The only downside I'd say about the game is it's very slight. Like, you can get through this whole game in under 2 hours, and it ain't cheap. I mean, it really isn't cheap. I think I paid like 13 or 14 quid for it, and that was on sale. So, I mean, that's very, very expensive. Now, I don't feel aggrieved at spending that much money on it because, like I said this before, I'm kind of happy to support this team. If this was just a game coming out of EA or Activision, I don't want to say, I don't have any problems with these companies, but it doesn't feel like the same giving them money. But these guys, like, you can see they had a clear vision of what they wanted to do. They left 2K Marin to go and do it, and it just feels like deeply personal. You know, they've made it out of Portland. Yeah, the game's set in Oregon. I assume in a place near Portland in Oregon. And yeah, I was always happy as soon as I heard about the game, and then I saw the first trailer. I was like, I'm going to buy that. That's going to happen. So yeah, I'm absolutely fine with spending the money that I spent on it, but it does feel like a luxury rather than a necessity. I have to say that. Kind of like you're eating at Noble or something, you know, it's not. It's nice, and the game's still highly recommended, but it's not. I wouldn't say jump on it just because, you know, that ain't cheap to spend. I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of replay value. If you really love what happens in the game, I'm sure you might want to go through it again at some point, but there's no real reason to. And yeah, it's tough in that respect to recommend because I do think it should have probably been under a tenner. But regardless, I mean, you don't know the situation. Some people could easily afford that and not even think about it. So highly recommended, brilliant piece of work. It's amazing to think a game like this can even exist. Even 10 years ago, thinking about the times when we played games at uni, and then something this rich and genuinely well written. We always used to talk about how games aren't well written ever, and they weren't. Very rarely, but now it seems to be like sort of week after week there's something that's genuinely superbly written. I think you're just getting a crop of people coming through who understand the craft of the writing but also understand the craft of video games together, and they're able to produce something like this. And this game will be a certain subset of the market, for want of a less ugly word, that this game will resonate with incredibly. And that might sound crass for people who finish the game. I don't mean it like that. But yeah, for certain, there will be people that this game really, really affects, and that's great.
Yeah. So you think that the reaction is justified?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. The only problem I had with the whole game was that I thought it was a bit expensive. But I don't like even talking about money and value anyway, really. But just because it was so slight, but I don't feel bad about paying for it at all. It's a brilliant game.
Okay. All right. No, just because I've heard a lot of people sort of talking as if it's the first of its kind. Is that fair? Is that overdoing it?
It's tough. It's funny because it's definitely born out of the kind of some of the narrative devices that have been used in certain first-person games, particularly BioShock, and you can tell that they've come from BioShock. A lot of it is, I think I read in one review, so I don't want to steal this without giving it credit. I think it might have been in the Eurogame review, a lot of which I actually disagree with because that gave it a 6. But regardless, he said that the way you uncover the backstory in a game like BioShock, this is kind of the whole game for Gone Home, because you don't have you're not walking around with a gun and having that kind of action element. You're just doing the walking around, and that becomes the whole game. But a lot of the other stuff he talks about, I actually disagree with. These criticisms. Anyway, it is. Yeah, what was your question? What am I talking about?
It might just be my imagination, but the way people are talking about it, they seem to be just sort of referring to it as something that's the first of its kind.
That's right. I mean, in some ways it is. It uses familiar tools, very familiar tools, but in many ways, yeah. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's kind of hard to answer that, really. It's kind of hard to answer that. It didn't feel like I was playing something particularly breathtakingly original. However, it did feel like this was a level of craft that did feel new, if that makes sense. There have been games more touching, I'd say, more, and certain things that are probably better written, but the fact that this is so confident in being a game that has no traditional action, but it isn't just one of those like, walk through a landscape and a story happens around you either. It is really good. Obviously, I've talked about it a lot, so it must have done something.
Yeah. No, I do need to check that out. It's just I thought the more I hear people sort of referring to it as this new thing, I'm always wary about stuff like that. I'm trying to think of an example where a game came out that kind of broke the mold a little bit and everyone overpraised it. But the only thing I can think of is in terms of acting, and for some reason Eminem jumps into my head, because when Eminem did 8 Mile, it was like, wow, yeah, he can act, great. But everyone was like, he's going to Oscars, and it's like, well, calm down, like, don't overdo it. The guy can act, well done, brilliant. But everyone's fucking going overboard. And when I'm sure there's games I can sort of apply that same thing to, where it breaks the mould and it's sort of brash and it's confident, but I don't know. I think I've been reading a lot about it, and maybe I should probably just bite the bullet and fucking play it instead.
Yeah, it could be one of those ones where you go in and think it's going to be more than it is, and I don't think they ever set out for it to be. It's a very it's a soft game, man. It's certainly not brash. You know, it is what it is. It's hard to talk about. I could talk a whole nother conversation if this was like a spoiler cast or whatever, a shit word. Where I can actually talk about what happens and why it's good and why it works, but I don't want to. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this one that you said was on Mac as well as PC?
It is on Mac as well, yeah.
Okay, all right, fuck it. I might just say bollocks.
It's fucking expensive though. But yeah. Right. Eventually it won't be, so as long as you get around to it at some point.
Yeah, okay. All right, interesting. Okay, so that was your number 2?
It was.
Okay, right. My number 2 is Lost Planet 3. This was meant to be seamless. We couldn't make it. Could we make it seamless? We could try.
Yeah, we're doing a good job right now.
No, right, it's too late. We recorded number 2 and number 1 early because we wanted to make YouTube videos, and you might have already seen those videos, in which case you've heard some or all of this already. I should have just slotted that in. I thought we could have actually got away with doing it seamlessly, but we're wankers, idiots. But anyway, cut to whatever it was from the other day.
My number 1 is Lost Planet 3, The Chronicles of Jimmy Payton, my bearded boy. Lost Planet 3, it's not very good, is it?
I think it's quite a bit less good than you said it is. I think you probably like it more than I do.
Well, I probably played more of it than you.
Yeah,
but yeah, okay. Let's drop the backstory then. You're Jimmy Payton, fucking guy with a beard. If you want to watch a video on all the things that he looks like, check out the YouTube channel. He's a weird bloke. He's a very, very strange guy. He takes a job on the planet EDN3, which is the lost planet, although I don't see why it's lost because you can get there quite easily, seemingly. It's he takes a job because he needs money for his wife, who, to be fair, doesn't change her clothes throughout the entire story of the game, so it does seem like they're quite poor. And their son, Hank. No baby has ever been called Hank, ever. Anyway, so he takes a job on a different planet. The world's worst job. I mean, there's no worse job than this. His job is to go out into the freezing cold and get assaulted by thousands of aliens on the off chance that they might find some orange stuff, which is going to be fuel to send back home. No one would take that job. The only reason he got that job in the first place is because he's really good at driving giant robots. Now, he has a giant robot on EDN3, but he already had it, and it was his giant robot from back home. But I don't understand why you'd need a giant robot back home, because it's only... Doesn't matter. This game's not very good. The other Lost Planet games, the first one was kind of, I call it like a sort of glorious mess. At the time, it looked amazing. It had some cool ideas with the grappling hook that you could use at any point. It looked really, looked nice. It had the contrast between the snow and the orange, and it had the mechs where they moved really fast, and it made a lot of mistakes as well. But it was a cool game, especially at the time. And the second one tried things as well, but ultimately failed. Tried to do the 4-player co-op deal. And it I wanted to go in a kind of Monster Hunter direction, I got the impression of, but ultimately it just ended up with you getting spammed by these giant monsters and you couldn't get up, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But at least they tried to do something interesting. This is it's a different team. It's Spark Unlimited, the guys who made fucking Turning Point and Legendary, two of the worst games on Xbox. And I just don't know why it exists. It's just the most generic plodding shooter you'll ever play, with bits where you're inside a robot that moves so slowly and none of the levels are big enough for the robot to go in. So you just walk to the level at no miles an hour in a robot, listening to weird country music, I don't know why, get out of the robot, and then go and fight the aliens. You're way tougher out of the robot than you are in the robot. So if you get attacked by Acrid in the robot, you're going to get killed pretty quickly. But out of the robot, you can take an absolute pasting. The only thing the game has going for it is two things, in fact. Jim Payton made me laugh because he's so fucking weird. He's always grinning the whole time. His face is just bizarre. It does look like a Doberman. He looks like a million different things. And he just sounds like a normal person for some reason. He doesn't sound like that gruff action hero that's in every one of these types of games. He just sounds like a normal bloke he's just bored by his job, which is the world's most dangerous job. It's more dangerous than just going to war with no clothes on. But he doesn't seem to be too fazed by it. Apparently the only danger is going a bit mad because of the snow, not the constant threat of death by 400-foot aliens. Anyway, and the only other good thing going for it is the shooting is generic as all hell. You couldn't get more generic, but it works fine. Like the shotgun makes things explode. The controls are fine. You walk, you shoot. It's so unremarkable that you can just kind of play it completely switched off. The only thing that drives you completely mad is the waypoint system, which constantly sends you in the wrong direction.
Oh God, yeah.
It's so bad. It's unreal. But I wanted to hate Lost Planet 3 as I was playing it, but it was never frustrating enough to hate it. You just plod through and it's easy, and I just don't understand why it exists. It's just a waste of fucking space, but it never pissed me off enough to hate it.
See, that's more offensive to me than being like having spikes of difficulty, being as monotonous and dull. I mean, I have played about 4, maybe 5 hours. No, I'd say 4 hours of the campaign, and I've thrown in the towel. Life is
that's definitely the right decision. 4 hours is 4 hours too long. Life
is way too short to play a game like this. I mean, I'm pretty sure also that I could give almost anybody in this, a games writer or an industry professional, screenshots of Lost Planet 3 and Dead Space 3, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in a lot of instances. There's actual sequences, level design, bosses where I'm like, I've done this already, and I did it in Dead Space 3. The holographic menu you access is exactly the same as the mini games when you hack into those things is exactly the same. The visuals, it's all black and light blue with splashes of orange. It's Dead Space.
It is Dead Space 3.
It's quite yeah. I mean, the one thing that I suppose if you had to say something nice about the Lost Planet series is that they are all completely different. The first one's got that weird time attack system, which means you can't explore, and yet you're supposed to explore. The second one was a co-op shooter that I liked at first, and then kind of sort of fell out with. This is just Dead Space 3, or Dead Space Poor, as I called it earlier on today. Tell me something. Something really intrigued me. The first thing that happens, one of the first things that happens in the game, is there's a really bad joke. And I saw that and I was like, oh, wicked. This is a spoof. I was like, this is going to be like a Naked Gun style spoof because it's such a lame joke. And, and I was like, and then there was another bit where, things happen where like there's this guy who's at the beginning who's just standing doing something, and then you run past him later in the game. He's like, I haven't been standing here this whole time, And I'm like, what? It's weird how its attitude to humour is just to spice in the most weird. It just doesn't work at all. Does that go out through the whole of the entire game?
Yeah, there'll just be a joke once every 25 minutes for no reason whatsoever. Just to either self-referential humour or it'll just crack wise. Oh no, he won't say anything for an hour, and then it'll just make a wisecrack after you've just fought a giant boss. No reason. Jimmy Payton, I told you he's weird. He's not like other people. He's a weird guy. In
real life or just in the game?
I don't think he exists in real life.
Sorry, when you keep saying Jimmy Payton, I thought that was the actor's name. That's not, no?
No, Jimmy P. I spent a lot of time with this game and his stupid face. And the only thing that got me through it was just him. Have you got to the bit that is aliens?
Refresh my memory.
Okay, but guess what happens? You go into a place and it's corridors and you shoot things, but the music suddenly turns to the aliens music, the sort of soft violins or whatever the fuck instrument, the aliens music. I don't know what instrument makes it. Yeah. And then, in every sci-fi shooter, it owes a debt to aliens. No, of course it does. This, though, is just aliens. They're enemies that come out that are just face huggers. They are exactly the same. They've got long tails with a point at the end, like 6 legs or whatever, weird faces. They jump. They're exactly the same, and they come out of eggs. I thought it was and then you pick up a pulse rifle that fires like 3 bullets at a time. Yeah. I was like, is this like an homage?
Yes,
an homage to aliens in a sci-fi shooter? I was like, could you not try a bit harder?
The things that really made me think, what is going on? The very first, after the cutscene with the joke, the title sequence comes up, and the music sounds exactly like the music at the very beginning of Predator, and then a pod fires from a ship and lands on a planet. And you're like, that's the exact opening of Predator. Why is that happening? And then there's Dead Space music throughout.
Yeah.
And then I just don't know what it is. What the hell is it?
Why does it exist?
Why does it exist? I mean, it really is boring. Not only does the mech move slowly,
so slow.
If you run, you move really slowly. It never explains what the hell is T energy. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's a currency. I don't know what it is.
That's the stuff that you're trying to harvest to send back home, but it's also the currency of your base.
But it's also health, isn't it?
No, you just recharge your health.
I swear you do it faster when you pick up loads of that stuff.
Oh, you probably do. You probably do in some bits and not in other bits.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Because it's totally in line with everything else. I thought it was so monotonous and so dull, and it had so little personality that I couldn't. It was so painful playing it. I absolutely hated my time playing it for 4 hours. Another thing, I don't know what it's like on the PlayStation, but on the Xbox 360 version, during some action scenes, it drops to considerably less than 30 frames per second.
Oh yeah, it does on PS3 as well.
I mean, really, really quite. But then there's other bits where it looks stunning.
It does look nice in some bits, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most... Yeah. What a mess.
I fell asleep, and to be fair, this is the game that I played pretty much straight after coming back from Gamescom, having had no sleep. But I fell asleep 10 times during this game. I kept waking up with Jimmy P just running into a wall, and I thought, he must be really confused. I've never fallen asleep like that before. I've sort of nodded off slowly playing games really late at night, but never full on, mouth open, face down. And then the next day I put it on again and I started falling asleep again, and I was like, I'm not that tired anymore. It's just the game.
To be honest, that happened to me as well. I mean, I fell asleep full on like that during Colonial Marines. But when I was playing this earlier today, I was doing. I just paused it and I had a power nap, because it's just it's like an intense push to make you go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, and the loading times.
They're not that bad on. Transitioning between areas was quite severe. Yeah. Aside from that, I thought it was quite fun. But yeah, it's like old school. It's almost like Resident Evil Doors.
Yeah.
Moving around a supposedly open big world, and then every few minutes you've got to transition between areas. Yeah. I will say this about it. Have you tried multiplayer?
Briefly, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it was all right. It was just shooting things. nothing.
Okay, I thought it was actually really rather good. I reckon I've played it for almost as long as I played the campaign for. I turned it on to have a look, and I ended up having loads of games on the trot.
You just love shooting other people, though.
I
You'd
don't,
do it in anything.
In games like this, the multiplayer component is always appalling, almost always. But this is it feels really nice. It's like a faster Gears of War. It's really kinetic.
Well, that was the one thing I liked about the game is that it actually just play it to move the man and shoot the things was fine. It was better than it is in most of these types of games.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it feels, but I like how kinetic. They're all objective-based games, and there's always stuff moving around, and it's just there was really nice variation to them, and all of the maps allow flanking. So there's some really cool bits like where they've got to plant bombs, you've got to defuse the bombs, but everyone was using all these tunnels around all. I mean, I just thought normally the multiplayer side of these games like this is always the worst, and this was really quite good. Really, I was genuinely liked it.
I just remembered. Have you seen how he rolls over cover?
Oh wait a minute! Doesn't he flail his legs around?
He does the most bizarre things, like a 6-year-old trying to get into bed. he just lies on it and then rolls really slowly over it like a sausage. That's not a good idea. Good old Jimmy P. He's an odd guy.
I can't say I noticed that, but so my decision to leave it at 4 hours playtime is a wise one.
Yeah, get out of there! Don't play that. It's terrible. I mean, but it isn't like it's. I would never recommend it to anyone, but it's not so bad. I've played way worse games.
Doesn't it make you think how good Dead Space 3 was in comparison?
No, because Dead Space 3 I like less.
What? Less than this?
Dead Space 3 was a constant hellish spam of idiots running at me for hours and hours and hours. This, I can just switch off and go bang, 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 bang.
That's just wrong. This is so much worse a game than Dead Space 3. Playing it made me think, how good was Dead Space 3? This is terrible. I'm surprised at that. That's quite shocking. But I don't recommend it based on what I've played at all.
No, I don't recommend either.
All right. What did you give it? Have you decided?
5.
Yeah, 5. 5. I don't know. I don't know. There's something about.
You could easily give it 3.
That's what I was thinking. It was so boring.
Yeah.
Follow the waypoint. The waypoint will fling back to where you've just walked 20 minutes. Go back there, shoot a thing, jump. I'm just like this rocket.
Jimmy P.
And having a radio in your mech that only plays country and western. Why?
Yeah, but you can't even. You spend so little time in the mech that you can't even get to the end of one song.
I know. I was flicking channels like, what we got? Oh, it's like the same song on every station.
Yeah, it is.
Fucking hell.
Oh man.
A bad. I mean, I think it's worse than you do. So yeah, Lost Planet 3. I think it's fucking push.
Yeah, well, at least it's one you can write off for August.
Yeah. True that. Okay, my number one then is Killer is Dead on the Xbox 360, also available on the PlayStation 3. It's the new game from Suda51. Have you played it yet?
No, but you've had it for a while, haven't you?
I have. I played it. I finished it like several weeks ago. I really, really like it. Basically, it's a Suda51 greatest hits collection.
Right.
It's really derivative, and I have to say that because it really is. Uncharitable people might say that Suda is starting to repeat himself, and you have to hold your hands up and say, yeah, he probably is. The combat is very, very easy to compare with the sword fighting in No More Heroes. I mean, Mondo Zappa's combat stance is exactly the same as Travis Touchdown, and just the pace of the combat is very similar. Visually, obviously, it looks like Killer 7. The gunplay and the upgrade structure are both straight out of Shadows of the Damned, and the humour is very puerile, but it's quite scarce. So it made me think of Lollipop Chainsaw.
Okay.
So it's a meshing of all of Suda's back catalogue almost. It's too derivative to be a classic, and it won't convince you. If you don't like his games, this is not going to convince you that he's some kind of genius. But I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm playing it through it again on hard mode now, and yeah, it's the funny thing about it is that at the same time as being his most accessible game, it's his least accessible game at the same time. It's perverse how they're two things that don't fit. So basically, the story is impenetrable and weird, and for the first 90 minutes of the game, maybe 2 hours, the gameplay to cutscene split is about 5-1. So there's a lot of cutscenes, and it's really tough. You can have a choice between English language, and you can have the original Japanese audio if you want. But it's a long haul, and if you're not prepared for that, it might put you off. On the other hand, the combat is really, really accessible. There's this parry move called Just Guard, and you can basically spam it. So if you're in a combat scenario with 5 people hammering, you just hammer parry all the time, and you parry them straight away. You're never tested on your skill of timing or your skill of rhythm. Never tested. It's not. It makes something. Devil May Cry. It's not.
Yeah.
It's really fun, but even on very hard mode, I was expecting once I stepped up onto the different difficulties, the parry would involve very, very specific timing, but it doesn't. So it's his most accessible game because the combat is very straightforward. It never stops being fun, and it's appealing way beyond the length of the game, the length of the campaign, I should say.
How long is it?
I'd say the campaign's about 6 hours, 7 hours. No, probably 7-8 hours. I'd say roughly. But the most interesting, one of the most interesting things about the game is that most of the best stuff is on the sidelines. So. There's all these challenge missions that unlock throughout the game, and they're really very, very clever, very, very smartly done, because not only do they in most games like this, challenge missions will be something from the level you just played, do it again, to either with a time limit or a score limit or something like that. What they do with these is they always mix it up. So if you've done, for example, in the campaign, there's this mission where you have to infiltrate this building. In the challenge mission, you have to get out of the building. In the campaign, there's quite a quiet bit in this bit of there's a specific bit of scenery, and then in the challenge mission, it's a really loud and rowdy gun turret set piece. Okay. So it's never the same thing twice. If you want to replay the missions, you can, obviously, but there's so much variety in the challenge missions that they represent the best part of the package, which is quite unexpected. Right. If you want to ignore all the challenge missions, you can, because the stuff that you can unlock, it's mainly to get more money. But the stuff you do unlock some things which can also be unlocked elsewhere in the campaign, so they're completely optional. Also optional are the Gigolo missions, which I assume you've heard about.
Well, this is the thing that caused all the consternation, wasn't it? I mean, at a glance, seemed to be... I don't know. My opinions on these sorts of things do tend to differ from everybody else's, but I just thought it looked funny and stupid because I know the man's work, right? And understand that he tends to err on the side of parody most of the time. And fucking stupidity as well. That's really. Dumbassery, which not stupidity is the wrong word. Dumbassery, which is something that I like all the time. I just thought it looked funny, but then again, I don't think I've always found maybe I'm a lot less sensitive to this sort of stuff than a lot of people, or maybe I'm not.
Yeah, see, I'm in the same boat as you. It's impossible for me to talk about the Gigolo missions without talking about a video that videogamer.com put out called Killer is Dead, Just Like Suda51's Career. As far as I'm concerned, it's the worst thing to have appeared on a mainstream gaming site for a year, maybe longer than a year. There's this, I mean, you know about this. There's an utterly bizarre subsection of the games press in England who endlessly celebrate and congratulate each other for having knee-jerk reactions to things. And what they do when they have these reactions is they write articles or they make videos and they present them, they articulate them so that they sound like these things are things that they've sat down and actually thought about. So at the beginning of that video, Matt Lees explains that he hasn't played Killer is Dead. He has literally watched someone else play it and watched over their shoulder. Literally that. So he can't offer any context on the subject because he hasn't played it. And then 20 seconds later, he says to the camera, it's all about context. And that is bullshit artistry of the highest order. It's completely dishonest. This obsession with identity politics has really got to stop because it's stifling coverage and discussion of an art form that's in its infancy. And if you're not intrigued and excited by the places that an interactive art form can take you exclusively, I don't know why it's your job. I don't know why you're writing about it. Because everyone knows damn well if these mini games or if this characterization wasn't interactive and if it was in a cutscene, there would be no fuss, just because there's 100 years of enlightened art criticism where we can accept that an artist can create unlikable people and we don't have to pin any kind of accusations on them. I mean, the argument expressed in that video is Philistine. It's completely anti-art. It says that if you create unlikable people or if they perform unlikable acts, you can do that and they can exist. But the second you interact with them, apparently it's fair game to rob an artist of his creative relativity and dismiss him as a pervert. If you think that's right, honestly, it's despicable that, again, the games press, there's always talk about cliques and how it's an echo chamber and it's insular and it's impenetrable and it's all just this little backslappy sort of... Who cares? No one's interested. I don't give a shit about that most of the time. But when it's in a situation like this, I just... the fact that people I admire and respect liked and shared this video is a damning indictment of it, because I know some of them shared it without having watched it, without thinking what the implications were of sharing it. It's completely anti-art. Philistine. Anyway, if you liked or shared that video, go back and watch it again. Listen to what is being said, and if you genuinely think that that's worthwhile, or it's well argued, or it's progressive, I'm sorry, I think you're an intellectual degenerate. Anyway, the fucking gigolo missions themselves are not worth a damn anyway. They're trial and error, and they're boring. And that's the other thing. You said you think that they're quite funny. I laughed at them repeatedly, and if you think that they're not done for laughs, I don't know what planet you're on. Here is what happens in all of these games. In every scenario when you play these gigolo missions, the first thing you see is Mondo Zappa sitting at a bar, and he has a sip of his beer, puts the beer down, turns, notices there's a pretty girl sitting next to him, turns back to face you, one eyebrow goes up. I mean, really. And then... basically, you have to give these women gifts, and while they're not looking, you kind of gawp at them, and this meter goes up, and if you give them the right gifts to the right people, it goes up faster. It's boring. But anyway, yeah, sorry, the first thing that happens is the eyebrow. While you're oogling them, Zappa says things like, magnifico. And then... if you manage to get them to take them to bed, he gives a thumbs up to the camera at the end. Here's two things that can happen when you take them to bed. In one instance, the screen fades to white and Zappa screams like a bloodied man on a battlefield. Oh, yeah! That's one thing that happened. Another thing that can happen is what I described as first-person lech mode. You're in the bedroom with this woman, and your first-person perspective, Zappa's hands are out in front of you like he's trying to grope her breasts. I mean, it's comedy. I don't care what you think about the outdated sexual politics, but it's comedy. But with regards to the outdated sexual politics, Goichi Suda has said repeatedly in different interviews that this is supposed to be the underbelly or the flip side or the dark side of James Bond. And you can't argue with him on that. Because the James Bond of old, not so much now, obviously, but that's what James Bond did. He oogled women, occasionally gave them gifts, and then he fucked them. That's what he did. The thing that's actually quite interesting about this is it presents James Bond... Mondo Zappa is a really unlikable character. He's bookish, and he's one of the least likable protagonists of any game I've played, I think. But if there was a real-life James Bond, he would be this drunk, incredibly pathetic... He completely unable to deal with these people, so he just showers them with gifts and then takes them to bed. I mean, he would be as pathetic as this guy is, and that's so important because at no point are you supposed to empathise with this character. And there's a great example in the campaign. During the campaign, this woman comes to ask, because they run a firm for executioner, what do you call it? Like a hitman firm. They're killers. Mm-hmm. This woman comes in and she's distraught and she's shaken up and she wants to have someone killed. Again, I don't know how sorry we should feel for her because she's coming to ask to have someone murdered for her. But when she's sitting there and she's shaken up, he sees this and he's like, oh, you know what? I'll do this job, but I don't want any money. I'll do it for a kiss. You know, not now. You don't have to give it to me now. We'll meet later. And he's a predatory scumbag. He's so unlikable. And the fact that you're not allowed to... Anyway, bollocks. The gigolo missions, after all, that aren't even worth the fuss. They're the least interesting part of the game, but you can skip them. The game's consistently good. The only thing I didn't like, rather, in the campaign is that at the end it kind of goes a bit meta, and there's break the fourth wall dialogue, and it's flippant and pointless, and it's just slightly irritating. And there's a plot sort of revelation in the third act that's really, really, you could see it coming a mile off. But it's a true flight of imagination, like all of Suda's games. It's the most random, amusing stuff happens. The combat is fun, like I said, way beyond you finish the campaign. There are several laugh out loud moments, but not too many. A terrific soundtrack. It's basically excellent. It's just a little too derivative and a tad too simplistic to be sort of, completely and utterly memorable or a must-buy. But if you're a fan of Suda, you can't miss it, but then you already knew that. I really, really enjoyed it. And if you think it's sexist, you're a dipshit.
Well, I'm a fan of Suda, so I'll be playing it. I know that the trouble is at the moment there's just so much out.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's been such a tough August. It's fascinating to hear you talk about that stuff. I mean, I'm not going to comment because I ain't played it, but I always assumed that I would always assume on the side of a guy like that.
Yeah.
Just from liking his previous work and. Especially stuff in Shadows of the Dam that dealt with not that subject matter in terms of it being Dark James Bond or anything like that, but he deals with those. He has interests in the subjects of sex and sexuality beyond what might look at first glance to be simple, puerile, and facile. Not saying it's particularly deep psychosexual analysis or anything like that, but. He's always got something interesting to say or attempt to say. And he's out there trying to be interesting. And I've always you could have that, or you could have Lost Planet 3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and with regards to his sort of attitudes towards sex, they are a little bit out there. And there is a character, this recurring character who you bump into, who's this nurse, and all she wants is blood, and she floats around on a giant syringe. And whenever she came up, I was like, that's genuinely fucking weird, but fascinatingly so. And the fact that anyone can think, just again they really are genuinely fucking amusing. The thought of people sitting and watching that and playing them and thinking, oh my god, this is just wrong, and not seeing how clearly geared towards comedy it is. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I always come back to is. The film Bully, the Larry Clark film.
Oh yeah.
His lens in that film is I haven't seen for a long time, but his leering in the extreme.
Yeah.
And on a very young girl most of the time, and that is just accepted and talked about and canonized and discussed and critiqued as a piece of art. And we get fucking up in arms about this bollocks.
I know. It's really exasperating. But the fact that people shared it without thinking about the implications of it, because you could apply. I mean, I can't be bothered with that argument about you have. Another thing that Matt Lee says in that video is, we just don't do that. No, we don't. I also don't walk into rooms and instantaneously behead a load of people with a katana. That's an argument that's boring and tired, but it's completely legitimate because they're having these attitudes and expecting that an artist is supposed to censor himself for your... But it's completely wrong. And the fact that it looked like it was snowballing and people supporting it, and it's the repercussions of that are profoundly negative. So yeah, but the game is really. Are you going to play it? I assume.
I will do. I'll try and find time. It's really tough because everybody knows what's just around the corner as well. And I will try and find time. There's a bunch of games I want to play, but
cool. Right.
It is
genuine. All right. Well, I recommend it anyway.
Sweet. And that's it. Thank you for putting up with our fucking ramshackle podcast that we didn't even bother trying to hide the fucking, the joins.
Yeah.
But, as always, thank you very much for listening. Check out the Twitters, at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, and at Chet and Johns. One thing I will say this week is we're really putting a lot more effort from this week going forward into the YouTube channel. We had a good video. The Killer is Dead video did quite well this week. And we're kind of pushing harder into that, and it would be really cool. Just honestly, if you want to go and check it out, it's just Chet and John on Twitter. Some of the content will be stuff that just comes from the podcast, and we put video footage to it. I say Chet does.
Yeah.
And then we're going to also be putting some proper bespoke editorial stuff and just some fucking stupid gags on there as well. And we're really going to try and have consistent content going out on there. We've had a chunk of new subscribers this week, and hopefully we can keep that moving. So if you are a fan of the podcast, one, thanks very much. Don't know why the fuck you listen, but thank you.
Yeah.
And two, if you want to jump on and hit subscribe, it will massively, massively help us, as much as doing an iTunes review, as much as chucking us a game recommendation. So enough fucking ugly begging for me now, but that would be sweet. So appreciate it. And we'll check you later.
Yeah, thanks for listening. See you later. right. Well, we'll just say like I've just done my number 2, and I would have already mentioned that. I'll have already mentioned that Lost Planet 3 is my number 2. So I'll talk about it in a minute. Oh no, I won't, because it'll be my 2. Oh shit. So we'll just be blatant about it. Just say, okay, my number 1 is like we've just finished. You know. Hey? Just say, okay, so my number 1 is, and then we'll make a joke about inserting it seamlessly into the show next week. And then I'll tell you what, you do your number 1, I'll do my number 1, and then we'll sign off like it's the end of the episode.
Okay.
Should we do that?
All right.
Okay. Yeah, all right, well...
So have you spoken about this or not? This is madness.
We'll say this before we insert it into the podcast next week or this week. We're
making bespoke audio for video clips that is going to be audio of a podcast that doesn't exist yet. This is the act of insane people.
Well, we can just joke about it, can't we? We can just say, hey, it's fucking, we had to record.
Yeah, we decided to make the videos and the podcast worse.
How do you reckon we do it then?
I don't know. Yeah, it'll work fine, I guess.
All right. I thought rather than actually try and make it fit, we might as well say on the podcast, hey, shit, yeah, here's us seamlessly putting something in and it's not seamless because, hey. Oh, God. All right, I don't know. So just start whenever you're ready, whatever.
My number 1 is Lost Planet 3, The Chronicles of Jimmy Payton, my boy. Have you played this shit?
I have, yeah. It's my number 2.
Okay. What? That makes no sense.
I know. This is...
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
Nobody has paid for this except maybe the guy who made its mum. And if she did buy it, yeah. But if his mum bought it, she does. You just know she stares into the middle distance. She'd never do it, but she occasionally thinks about getting shot of him. I'm telling you, it is terrible. Anunnaki's Errands. Don't even forget I spoke about it. Wipe it from your brain. It's
already gone.
It's crap.
It's already gone. Right. It does sound good, though.
No, it's not. It really isn't.
And they don't dance?
Not yet, but it does. The screenshot looks like it's in-game, so I don't... Maybe it's... But that's what... He lures you in with this minigame about collecting diamonds and then goes, yeah, buy the game right now. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not that fucking desperate. They're all dead. I forgot they're all dead as well. They've got blood just because. Fuck that game. Hell. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to look into this guy.
Yeah. He's a mystery.
Anunnaki, yeah, watch out for that guy. My number 8 is a game called, I think it's probably not called this, Spaghetti Space, Spaghetti, something to do with spaghetti. Anyway, Martin Holden, the king of concept art, his friend made it for Ludum Dare, Robert Ludlum Dare, you know that thing? That game, I don't even know what it is. I don't know why I speak about it.
Isn't it just like a 48-hour game jam thing?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I don't know why it's called that. I don't even know what that means. I don't know anything. Anyway, this game's quite good. It's very hard. It's an endless runner, but a lot of it involves wall jumping, and you have 2 controls, jump and slide, which is pretty common for this genre, but you have to use them in tandem to jump off the wall. So you can't just jump at the wall and jump again like you do in most games. You have to kind of time it, so you keep the jump button held down and then use the slide on the wall to jump off. And it just makes the game hard, but the controls are quite good, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, right.
It's like quite a satisfying mechanic when you nail it. So it makes what would be a fairly pedestrian endless runner a lot trickier and a lot more enjoyable. You know, the game was made in 48 hours, so obviously it's not brilliant. But it kind of diverted my attention for a good 15, 20 minutes, and I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know what it's called. I think it was something to do with spaghetti.
On PC?
Yeah, it's just in the browser. It's Flash.
Okay. All right. How does it not have a title, or have you just forgotten it?
I think it's called Spaghetti Space.
Okay.
The word spaghetti is definitely in it, because I wouldn't just be saying that for no reason.
Okay. All right. Is it going to progress beyond browsers, or is that
I don't know. Yeah, it's 48 hours, isn't it? I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I could see it turning into a proper game. Definitely.
Right, yeah. Genuine. All right. Okay, my number 8 is a game I spoke about last week called The Unbreakable Chain on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game, an incredibly weird indie game. I spoke about it last week, and I just thought it was a game about a weird bonbon-bodied snake or worm going around a sandpit.
That's this one.
But the music, it's worth downloading just for the music. It's amazing. But a listener sent me a video of it being played, the demo from beginning to end, and I didn't realise you could actually go up at the top of the sand and then the game continues. So I downloaded it again, the trial, and I played through it. And it's, it looks completely bizarre, but the gameplay, it is, I think, an artist making a game, and I don't think he plays games or massively cares about them. But it is something. It is basically you get out of the top of the sand, this snake, and then you get eaten by a pig. He didn't pick Yoshi; he wasn't allowed. But you never found that, no?
I never really played it that much. I had it. I didn't like the track where you drove and there were cars on the road because I just always used to crash into the cars and used to do my head in. So, I didn't play it that much.
Yeah,
it's probably the one I played the least, actually, apart from the GBA one.
That's a shame because it's blatantly the best one.
All right. So that's cool that that's in a pub.
It was a nice interlude for 5 minutes. It just reminded me how much rage was. Yoshi, he's in third place. It's the first lap. The first present comes up lightning every time. No.
Present.
Exactly. Cheat.
My number 9 is not as interesting as that. It's a game called Capitals Quizzer. I'm good at capitals.
I really like that title.
It is a good title. I'm quite good at capitals. So I said there's a game about capitals. It's exactly what it sounds like. And it's a quiz. It's quite hard. It's free. It asks you what the capitals are of things. I knew some of them and I didn't know other ones.
Right.
That's all it is. It's on a phone. I don't know. You could try me out a capital. I'm all right.
What is it? Just pictures?
It'll be no. It's the name of the country, and it'll go, "What's the capital of this country?"
Right. Okay, gotcha.
So just name a country. I might know the capital. I might not.
Is there pictures? It sounds like the dullest app in the world. Is it just the word?
I think there's a flag.
Okay, all right.
See, already I can tell you don't like capitals as much as me, so it's going to be lost on you.
I fucking love the title, but when you said capitals, I thought you meant capital letters for some reason. But yeah, I'm not brilliant at knowing capital cities, so I don't think it would...
Well, this you might get better if you get this.
True that.
Learn.
Is it a freebie?
It is a freebie. There were some ads, but I didn't care.
Okay.
Because I was just getting my capitals on.
Capitals Quizzer.
So what?
That's a great title. All right. Okay, my number 9 is a game called Anunnaki's Errands on the Xbox 360.
Indie game, perchance?
It's an indie game, yeah. It's 69p. It seems so weird. It's no longer 80 Microsoft points. It's 69 pence.
Oh yeah.
I can't stress enough. Well, I shouldn't. Okay, basically, the picture, I downloaded it because of the box art. It was a bikini-clad woman with her backside to the camera, looking over her shoulder. Much beloved by ex-big developers everywhere. I've seen it many times. Behind her are more bikini-clad women, and that's basically it. Anunnaki's Errands. I was like, okay, I checked what the screenshot was, and the screenshot made it look like it was a kind of rhythm action dancing game with one giant woman and loads of other women. I was like, okay, all right, I'll have a look. Maybe it turns into that. When you start off, the only thing you can do in the trial is a first-person shooter, and I've played some bad first-person shooters on XBlig. This wipes the floor with all of them. You're walking around a cave and you collect diamonds. As soon as you get 8 or 9, it says pay for the game. But while you're walking around, it's non-stop glitches. These naked women come down from the ceiling and occasionally they stick to you. Occasionally they vanish instantly. Occasionally they keep popping up and down. You can't get past them. Sometimes you walk over a line, you back up, get out of the way, kill them, move forward, and they go, and you just can't. It is one of the worst games I've ever played.
It fucking sounds good.
I'm telling you, it's so bad. But it's just bad in that way that's not funny. And it's just I've said this about Xbox Live indie games before, but arcade. So it's Flashback remake and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, or OOTS as they call it. First of all, Flashback. I never really understood Flashback. I remember playing it back in the day, and it just left me ice cold. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on it then, and I was always very fond of Another World, and Flashback always just kind of. I remember I went to play it multiple times, and I remember.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same as you.
Yeah, it's weird. I can't quite put my... Anyway, I downloaded the remake to have a look. And immediately, as soon as I saw the first screen, I was like, I can't be bothered. I'm not interested. Something about it is so uninteresting. The controls, I think the controls weren't brilliant back in the day, but the controls in the remake are really unresponsive. And I've been reading loads of people talking about bugs. I mean, terrible bugs that are in it, apparently. I didn't play it long enough to verify that. They've inserted all these cutscenes, and it's this guy who talks in wisecracks, and it's one of those characters that feels like it was written by people who have absolutely no sense of humour. So everything he says is like light and wee, and I'm just like, no. Thank you very much. I played it for about 10 minutes. I didn't get to the end of the trial. I couldn't be bothered. The scenery is really difficult. It's really difficult to sort of determine where the sort of barriers are. But then again, I found that back in on the original. I always used to walk around going like, where the fuck am I going? This is a wall. That isn't a wall. I can walk past that, but I can't walk past that. Anyway, I didn't enjoy it. Back in the day, I didn't enjoy it now. Turtles Oots Out of the Shadows is absolutely diabolical. Based on the trial, first of all, the trial's terrible. It's Turtles. Did you play the full price £40 PS3 Xbox Turtles game that came out when the movie came out?
Was that the one that was like Prince of Persia?
I suppose you could say that. Yeah, it's third person, 3D.
Yeah,
roaming.
I didn't play it, but I saw it being played. Okay. Yeah,
I think I can't remember whether I liked it or not. I remember that it worked and it was fine. This looks like that. It's the same combat. X is attack, Y is like a kick, but it's a guard break. There's a super meter, and you can do special moves, and you level up by placing things in an upgrade tree. And it's so fucking dull. It's not even true. I mean, I may be reviewing it, in which case I'll talk more about it next week. I hope that isn't the case, but it's. Technically the demo's terrible because you're having combat and then it will jump to a cel-shaded cutscene like comic book panels, and then it will throw you into another bit of level, and then the game just stops and starts, and it's technically pretty much fucked. It looks pretty ugly. Actually, the turtles look really amphibian. I don't know whether they've changed the design of turtles since I last saw them, but they look really eerie to look at. They don't look like cartoon characters. They look like they're supposed to look like actual turtles, which is quite weird, quite off-putting. Maybe the movies and the new comics or whatever, wherever they are, look like that as well. But the game is... I'm only basing it on the trial, but Jesus Christ, so dull. So dull.
Yeah, I've got no interest. It seems like a really weak Summer of Arcade.
Yeah, it is.
This year. I mean, you played more Charlie Murder than me, and that was cool, and Brothers is fantastic, but those two finishing it off, that's...
Rubbish. Yeah, really quite weak.
What's going on?
Shame.
Yeah. But then again, you know, new consoles coming out, I guess they're focusing on that or whatever, I don't know. I don't know. My number 6 is...
Pig, and then all of a sudden you're playing as the pig. It's very much similar gameplay, top-down, moving around, you're eating other worms. And then when you're eating other worms, at some point, what looks like a Doberman eats you, and then you're walking along sideways, and you're a jumping Doberman. And there's a mouse, and he's chasing that, but before he gets eaten by a bull, and then you're a bull with a carriage behind it, and he jumps up.
What the hell are you talking about?
Honestly, it's just, you keep jumping from animal to animal. It's really fucking weird. It's very experimental, and I don't think it's a good game, and I do not recommend it as a game, but it's completely unbound by anything. I mean, there's no logic. The animation's wildly inconsistent. So's the gameplay inconsistent. It's rubbish, but you get at no point do you not think that this is what the guy wanted to make, as fucking weird as it is. But it's one of those games that people who enjoy his artwork will be the best equipped to enjoy, because it's not much of a game really. But I'm only speaking about the trial. I don't know what happens after that. I've only done 4 animals or 5 animals. It's bloody weird. It's not recommended at this point.
So you're not going to buy the full version?
No, I don't think. I mean, it is 69p, which is nothing, and on iOS it's £5. I don't know why that is.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's on PC. I don't know. The Unbreakable Chain. It's interesting, but pretty worthless as a game.
All right. My number 7 is a game called Clocked In. This is a recommendation from Twitter. Not to us, I should say. It was recommended by Tom Francis, the guy that made Gunpoint, and he used to work for PC Gamer and whatnot. And I just noticed that he tweeted about some game, and it's pretty good fun. It's really simple. Basically, the image on screen is a clock. The clock hand goes round, and as it does, it leaves a pattern of circles that changes with every rotation of the clock hand. Yeah. You play as another circle, a different coloured circle, and using the arrow keys, I think, or maybe WASD, I can't remember which one. You have to rotate around the clock and dodge all the circles that are on the clock face, and try and avoid getting hit by the minute hand that's going around the clock, right? And every time you make it around the clock without getting hit, you got 5 lives, I think, you get a point. So you're just trying to get as many points as you can, and with every rotation, the pattern of the weird circles on the clock face changes completely. So it kind of turns into a maze, basically, and you just have to be really good at directing your little circle. It's got a bit of momentum to it, and it's just a fun game. It's just a good little game. It's kind of stylish in its own way. It's a weird idea. I don't know why that was an idea that came to his head. Maybe he was just staring at a clock sometime, this guy. But yeah, it's cool. I don't know if this was another Lud and Dare thing or if it's just something someone made. I can't remember. But it's actually pretty good.
What format was it on?
Again, just browser.
It sounded like that's the kind of thing that sounded like it could get really frustrating. How long did you play it for?
Probably, I played it in a few different sessions, probably sort of 10 minutes a session, maybe 3 times.
Okay. Oh, I don't know. Something about it just sounded like that would wind me up. I might have a look at it, though. What was it called?
Wind you up, nice. Clocked In.
Clocked In, that was it.
Yeah, just Google that. I'm sure you'll find it. It's yeah, I wouldn't say it was frustrating. It was quite difficult, and you can kind of get stuck eventually, and you start getting hit by the hand. But it's fine. It didn't annoy me.
All right, okay. Clocked In, all right. Okay, my number 7 is actually 2 games, neither of which I have a whole lot to say about. They're the final 2 games in the Xbox Live Summer of Our
Capitals Quasar in the motherfucking hizzer.
Hello and welcome to episode 77 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivas. With me as usual is John Denton.
Good afternoon.
As usual, 2 top 10 lists. The number 10s are the games we've been playing the least. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it, John, let's do it.
All right, my number 10 is a game called Shelter. Now, I thought this was a Badger game. I got the tweet came out from someone and it said Shelter is currently free on iOS, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard of Shelter. I'm pretty sure it's something to do with a badger, and I'm pretty sure people have said it's good. Oh, yeah. This version of there is a game called Shelter, which is something to do with the badger, but this isn't it. This is something to do. Well, I put it on, and it seemed like it was to do with zombies straight away. This is on the iPhone, and then it said something to do with like deck building, and I've never felt my brain switch off quicker ever in my whole life for anything. As soon as I saw those 2 words next to each other, building decks, it's like, I don't know what that is. That's something to do with cards. I think that's what you do in Magic the Gathering. And then I jabbed at the screen a few times, and I thought, I don't understand what's happening. I need to turn this off. So please don't take this as any sort of review, criticism, opinion. It's nothing. I just thought it was a Badger game, and it wasn't.
I have heard noise about this being really good. But I hate those things too.
Yeah, I don't even hate them. I just don't know what
understand
they are.
them. That's what I meant. Yeah, it's just too much for me. All right. Well, is it still free?
I don't know. It was when I got it.
Okay.
And apparently the Badger game is really good.
What's the Badger game called then?
Shelter.
Oh, they're both on iOS.
No, I think the Badger game is a PC game, but I just, you just hear a name and then a vague thing, and it's sort of like in the far reaches of your mind.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll swear it.
Yeah, do. Or you might like it. I don't know. Other people might. I don't know. Shelter. I don't know. It's a badger. I thought it was a badger.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. My number 10 is Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64. I was out drinking with friends in Brighton last week, and apparently this pub we went to, it was called the Spotted Dog. We've been there before. It's called something else now. Anyway,
I don't know what any of the names are. There any of the pubs that we've gone to?
It was the one we went to that had a makeover, and it had loads of really, really weird. Anyway, whatever.
Fuck knows.
They at the front of the bar, they've got an old CRT TV, an N64, 2 pads, and they permanently run Mario Kart 64. And I was with Zeno, our old friend, and I can't remember whether you remember this. I mean, it was many, many years ago. We all stopped playing Mario Kart 64 because we didn't want to play against him because he discovered that Yoshi was a cheat character.
That was before I knew you.
Oh, it probably was, yeah. Yeah, so Yoshi's a cheat character. He knows it. It's the worst thing ever. But we saw that and we thought, let's have a look. And we started playing it, and needless to say, the sticks on the controllers were completely exhausted.
Oh, a little crunchy.
Yeah, well, it's because it's plastic on plastic. When the N64 first came out, I was like, that's not going to work because you're going to grind the plastic into itself. Anyway, yeah, the sticks were knackered, but we played it. We did a couple of races. We were quite hammered. It's at the time I said it was the best one. I think everyone said it was the best one amongst us lot, and it still is. You can just tell it is. It's they've never got it as perfect as they did there, apart from possibly the GBA one first time round. But yeah, Yoshi's a cheat character.